Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy. And so there will be one card that I will show in this video, but this video is really about something else. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time if you hear banging or if you can hear something that sounds like a TV but it's really the radio going on in the background. I'm actually doing this on New Year's Eve. And it's fairly early, but some neighbor others have started with really loud firecrackers, fireworks. And so this is about Theta Healing, which I've talked about at different times. But I think that, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm froggy, I just ate. Yeah, so I've talked about it before, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and this is, in a sense, for amusement's sake, so that people can see different ways that you can approach these things that are not, you know, and the weirdness that can sometimes come with attempting to do things, especially in my case, attempting to do things on my own without a guide. So, I'm sorry, an antivirus thing just popped up in front of me. Okay, not a message that there was a virus or anything, just, you know, like, here, you want our antivirus. Well, I've got your antivirus, so go away. Alright, my understanding of Theta Healing, and I heard about this from my sister, and she had gone to something, she's a massage therapist, and she had gone to, I expect it was intended as a, what do they call it, professional development workshop or whatever, like teachers and other professionals, massage therapists have to have a certain number of professional development credits throughout the year, and I think that she had chosen this as one of her things she was going to try for that, I think. And so she went in not completely knowing what it was, and she wasn't disappointed with her experience there, but it wasn't what she was thinking it was. So her experience was, as I'm recalling it now, and I've got kind of faulty recall, but this is what I got out of it. This is what I've retained, is that there was a guided meditation, and that this is a method of healing developed by a woman in a state of duress, and I can't remember what her illness was, but when it worked for her, you know, she started to spread the word. And so it is a spiritual kind of healing. If you want to think that it's a spiritually based form of healing, let's put it that way. Because my thinking is that whatever you're attempting to access, something is happening in your body. So it's still a physical, there's some physical result. And that's the intention, is this is using spiritual energy or spiritual resource in order to heal the body. So what I do, I wouldn't call Theta Healing because I don't know what I'm doing. And but what I do is that I use something that not the guided meditation, but the approach is something that I have attempted to use and had strange experiences with. So what I wanted to do here was just to tell people kind of what my experience has been. So my understanding is that, first you have a guided meditation. Well, first you do a grounding exercise with your chakras, all right? And then you do, this is what my sister experienced, was a guided meditation in which you are taking your energy upwards, and you go through, like, and she said, I think there were several layers that you got, but you go through there's a point at which you come to like a white area, and there's like a curtain you need to go through, or there's fog you need to go through, and you push through, and you get into this white area. And then you're supposed to say an assertive statement about your healing, that you command the resources or whatever to heal your body or something like that. So this is not how it's worked for me. Now, have I tried that? Yes, I have tried that. It's in the part that becomes difficult for me, or where I haven't really gotten results, or yeah, I guess I would say that is where I don't feel like I'm being effective, is in that commanding or demanding, it's like, I demand healing, complete healing now, or some kind of statement like that. And again, anybody who knows what Theta Healing is, you're very welcome to go down to the comments and say, well, Jennifer, that's really not the way it's supposed to go. It's supposed to be this. So, but, with my little bit of, secondhand information, I thought, why not give it a try? Why not? So I have done that. Usually I'm laying down usually, and I've had to use different, so I've talked before about having different kind of animals in my chakra centers, or that's the way I see it, power animals in my chakras. And when I get up to my crown chakra, there has been a mountain goat. There's been a mountain goat there. So when I try to do the Theta Healing, and I try to kind of take that upward thing, it just sort of evaporates. It just, it just evaporates. There's no way to get up there. So my way to get up there is to enlist the aid of the mountain goat. So in my mind, what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the hair. They have very shaggy, thick hair, and I just grab the hair and I just ask that mountain goat to take me up. And I tend to think of it like almost like a cliff, which of course, a mountain goat has no problems with a cliff. So, and then up we go. So that was, my first few experiences, was the mountain goat taking me upwards. And that would happen, and then I would just then the goat would just sort of fade away, and I would, enter the curtain area and just kind of go through the curtain thing. And so the first time I just sort of, thought my thoughts, said my affirmative statement, and called it done. And that's all. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It was what it was. But I didn't feel any effect from it. Or maybe one time I did. I had something to do with a tooth. And in fact, that tooth did heal. Okay, so there was one time when I did have an effect. There was a positive effect. I'm pretty sure it was from a Theta Healing attempt that I did that. So there was that one time. And then, so it's been kind of spotty since then. It's not something that I can always do, even with the help of good old mountain goat. Also, I don't know if it was the second or the third time that I attempted, and I went into the area, and my experience is that there's an area of light. And so there's an area of light, and I was just kind of standing there experiencing it, just sort of perceiving it. And, you know, these beings started coming toward me. And that was too much for this gal, and I was like, oh, that's too weird. That's too weird. It's like, to me, that was like seeing light beings, and that's what they were like, beings made of light, starting to come toward me and form out of the mists, and it's like, whew. So that was just too weird. And since then, since that time, when I had that weird experience, I had, you know, times when I, again, kind of I felt like I couldn't quite make it up there, and it could have just been a matter of poor concentration, being too tired when I'm attempting it. You know, there's all kinds of potential reasons. And I haven't done it like regularly or often. So then, I don't know, 3 months ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I don't think it's all of 6 months ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, as I started doing this again, I in fact did not have Mr., and I thought of it, I guess, as a Mr. Mountain Goat there. Instead, there were a bunch of babies, a bunch of little mountain goats, babies, kids. And so, you know, it's like having a bunch of kids popping around on your crown chakra, and it's like, okay, this is kind of fun, you know. It's that good old foolish energy. You don't question it, just go with it. And and so I thought, well, what the heck, you know. And I think I was not intending to do a Theta healing at that point. I was just sort of doing a chakra check. And I thought, well, why not, you know? Hey, hey, babies. Hey, babies, take me up, you know. And in fact, the little baby mountain goats, you know, popped on up, and I just sort of floated along, happily watching them, and achieved that, you know, going through the veil, mist, wall, whatever. I think in the original meditation, it was almost like something that gave you resistance, that you were pushing your way through. And that's not what I have done or experienced or whatever. So I got up there, and this time I was just standing there, and I felt like I was just inside the curtain, so to speak. And instead of there being like light beings coming toward me or something like that, my perception is that they were on the side and were taking my hands. I didn't physically feel this, but this was the sense, was connecting and becoming part of their circle. And I didn't, for some reason that was less unnerving than having things like coming toward me. And by that time I was more used to it. You know, I was a little bit more at peace and not feeling quite so out of control when that was happening. And I guess that was the issue with the first time. It's like, well, this is not supposed to be happening, and this is weird, and this is not within my belief system, and I'm out of here. And so between the mature mountain goat and the baby mountain goats, there were times when, you know, I was finding it difficult. Most people, you know, they can draw energy up through their chakras. Well, that was not something that worked well for me. But I could, without doing the mountain goat thing, I could draw energy down. And what I would get when I would draw energy down is what I called the glistening goo. So I would draw down the glistening goo. And what effect it had, I don't know. You know, I didn't have any, you know, I didn't perceive any physical effects particularly. You know, it made me feel sort of like something might have happened. But it was in phases too. It's like, you know, like first time maybe it would come up to my shoulders, and it would come a little bit further down. It couldn't even cover all of me, unless I did it kind of successively. So there were, and part of the reason I share this is because, I have such health problems, and I had asked my sister at one point, I said, well, because I do have these like power animals in every chakra, and sometimes more than one, and they switch out and all kinds of stuff, and I said, is this, are you aware of anything that, that where this would be normal? What? And the only thing that she could find indicated that that was more likely to occur with somebody like multiple power animals when they really needed it. There were some issues going on. And so, when you're somebody who does have difficult health issues, of course you wish for the magic pill, but if you're in it for any length of time, you no longer have too many illusions about the magic pill. But it can be frustrating still and somewhat demoralizing when you don't get even basic expected results. And so if, maybe if I was in the guided meditation and the whole preparatory stuff that my sister had gone through, maybe I would have had a more complete experience one time or more than one time or whatever. But I think that there's nothing wrong with the way I've been doing it, and there's nothing wrong with, and is perhaps understandable, this partial and stop and go aspect of any healing that's going to occur as a result of attempting this. There seems to be beings willing to help me, something willing to help me, and then having to kind of come to terms with that, and then the whole stuff coming down, but only partially, and feeling sort of heavy and clogged and really sick, and not being able to bring energy up from the earth, so all of these things that other people might, click and no problem, and can't imagine what my problem would be. Well, so anybody out there who's trying these alternative methods, these energy methods of writing particularly long-term chronic issues, it might happen in this weird, gradual, herky-jerky fashion, and to try not to get discouraged. So that's part of the reason I'm doing this, is to say that it just happens. It can be inconsistent. It doesn't mean that it isn't worthwhile. So last night and all yesterday, I felt like I was coming down with a cold again, potentially even something streppish. Now, I also took antibiotics, I will say. I did take antibiotics. But I had previously been taking antibiotics also. So, and it was coming on, my nose was running. It's like, I just got over, I was sick over Christmas and had just had 2 days when I felt like I was okay, and then suddenly I feel like I'm full-blown coming into another cold, and it's like, ugh. And so I've been aware that I need to be doing more, just getting in tune with my body, relaxing, thoroughly relaxing, which to me is laying down actually on the floor and stuff. And I had some time, and so I made it a point to lay down, which is a bigger thing in this house because there's so many dogs and so much dirt and stuff. And so I laid something down and laid down on it, and I actually got out crystals as well, which I've been sleeping with crystals. I have a set of crystals I've been sleeping with, and had just changed those as well. I have no idea if those had an impact at all. But I hadn't been very consciously using crystals in a layout. So I laid myself down. I got out some little quartz points and put one here and one here pointing outward, and one at my feet pointing outward. And for my feet and my head, I had a little piece of black tourmaline also up there. Between me and the quartz was the black tourmaline, again just trying to draw crap out. And same thing with on the side here, kind of drawing stuff out of my sinuses, my head. And laid there and did a theta journey. This time I had these birds just immediately. And this card had come up in one of the Kwanzaa readings. I guess it would be the first Kwanzaa reading. And those doves really struck me. And so no more billy goats, large or small. So what happened was these doves just flew from, I don't know, about my knees. They just flew past me, and they just kind of took, I would say kind of, before my feeling was that I was sort of kind of physically following along. And this time it was just sort of grabbing my spirit and taking me along with the doves. And transporting me into a large, it's not arena, let's call it an arena, but not like a sports arena, but almost like a large alabaster, because it was very white, ballroom or something, you know, but all stone floors, stone pillars, stone, you know, but a place where things are supposed to happen, and presumably in groups. And so I was just like, so do I do something here? do I just, am I waiting for a group to arrive? Am I, you know, I didn't know. So I just kind of sat there. There was a sense that there were patterns on the floor, but I couldn't quite see them, and I didn't know if they were just decorative or whether they were meaningful. And, you know, after a brief period, because, you know, my mind won't stay in that state too awfully long, I decided to, I think I sort of started to feel safe, like really there was nobody immediately around. So I walked into the middle of this floor, and I stood there, and I just raised my arms. I just raised my arms out to receive. I just wanted to receive whatever there was to be given. And so I wasn't there, and I wasn't going through a process of demanding anything. I was just, you know, because I felt like the last time that I had achieved this, going to this place or whatever, that I had sort of been accepted. And of course I have no idea what that meant, but because then at that point, you know, kind of taking hands and stuff, and then bang, it was gone. But so I just went up there, and I just put my arms out with my, you know, my hands and fingers spread, and just was there to receive. And it's like there was a, you know, there's the floor I'm in, and then there was a gallery up here, and still there was no sense of any specific beings or individuals or anything being up there. But from that area, it's like light was coming down, and I didn't, well, I kind of saw it. And then I think it was kind of closing my eyes, because I thought, it's not about looking or seeing it, it's about receiving what is being given. But there was a sense that energy was being kind of given to me all the way, kind of 360 around that area, kind of into my hands and into my body. I didn't feel it in my body at all. I didn't, you know, there was no sensation that I recall. And And then I was standing there kind of receiving that, and then again it just sort of all faded away. And, you know, I went about my normal routine and went to bed, and because it was near bedtime. Well, I did one other thing is I took, after I laid there a little while longer, after I felt like I'd done enough with the black tourmaline, I took the black tourmaline out. I also put, I think it was a patchy tear. It's either a little tiny thing. I think I thought it was black tourmaline. When I held it up to the light, it was translucent. So it was either, I think it's probably a patchy tear. But it could have been smoky quartz. And I also had that here. Again, pulling out negative energy. Just get it out of there. And then, so I then took all the dark stones out, and I turned my quartz points around so the energy was coming into me from all of the points. And so this morning and today I have been so much better. I almost can't believe that I was sinking yesterday. Because I feel good today. So I'm going to do this routine again today. I don't know that I'll go in and, ask to receive positive vibes, but I'm going to sit down with the crystals again, lay down and I do flippy floppy yoga. I don't do serious yoga. And yeah, keep the good energy flowing, or whatever happened. It was very positive. And now, would I maybe have expected to get up and feel somewhat better today? Yes, but not as good as I felt like this area was clear. This area that has been bothering me is clear. It's gone. So that was interesting and amazing. So it could be another year before I get anything again where I feel like I have effectively used that technique in a way that impacted my health. So this would only be like the second time. There was the one time with the tooth, and then there's this time. Out of, I don't know, maybe altogether 10 attempts to do something, and that 10 would include like the glistening goo stuff coming down and stuff like that. So there it is. So again, I just wanted to share those attempts, those what again I would call herky-jerky attempts to use this thing called Theta Healing. I should probably just break down, now that I have a little financial leeway, and buy the woman's book and see really what it's all about. But anyway, there you go. So if you've got something persistent, or maybe not persistent, something that's bugging you and you want to attempt some Theta Healing, go for it. And you got nothing to lose, and with persistence you may occasionally have some positive results, and maybe with practice it will become more frequent. That's what I'm hoping, and perhaps more thorough, as opposed to what I'm like. I focused on my head. Now I'm sure my whole body was also involved, and then also with the tooth issue that I had. And this was all over like a year and a half, maybe 2 years, year and a half. I can't remember. I think it was in spring of 2017 that my sister did the Theta Healing, but I can't recall exactly. Workshop that she was doing. Yeah. So there it is. If it's of use to anybody else, sharing my strange and silly experiences and silly methods sometimes of attempting things that I don't really know how to do. Yep. So sometimes that foolish energy when you're in the middle of rural Alabama where there's nobody doing this sort of stuff, that foolish energy can be worthwhile, useful, take me to places that, on occasion anyway, prove effective and beneficial. All right, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.